What's going on, guys? Tommy Nichols, Blue Collar Boys of Santa Rosa County, here with Mike Cusack. Cusack?
Correct, Cusack,
right.
yeah.
Just
like
the
right. Actor, but I don't have his money, though.
I got you. He's running for Milton City Council, Ward 1, Seat 1. We got him here today, guys. We're working on getting all the Milton City Council candidates in there, and this, like I told you guys the other day, this is a first for me doing all the City of Milton candidates, and I've learned a lot since we started doing this. You think I would know most of it being an 8th generation Santa Rosa County citizen, but I'm quite clueless, and it's pretty sad to say. But that's why I got you guys coming in.
There you go.
Y'all can learn me something. Oh man. Anyway, how you doing, Mike?
I'm doing great, thanks.
That's good,
Just
man.
great.
Oh. All right, guys. You know how we do it. We jump right into it. Part 1 is always the personal questions. Part 2, meat and potatoes. You ready?
Let's go.
All righty. Part 1, personal questions. Who are you?
Well, my name is Mike Cusack. I've lived in Milton for 6.5 years. I live right downtown Milton. I live in a historic district. I don't have a historic house, but I have lived in a historic district.
Right.
And that's who I am. I'm just a guy that's. I had a lot of people ask me about running for office, and because I'm a questioner, I question things.
Right.
Right. I'm a why guy. Right. Well, why? What? Woo? And that's how I am. I'm pretty. That's my thought process.
Right.
I'm a business guy, so I'm always a what if, and well, looking at you ask a question. If somebody's trying to propose something, tax increase or spending, and my whole thing is why?
Exactly.
Who's going to benefit?
Right. And that's
it, right? And that's it, before, because I don't believe in spending money just to spend money, right?
Bingo.
So I don't live that way. I don't just spend money to spend money,
right.
Personally, and the city should be the same way.
Absolutely.
Right? So.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we do need people like you on there instead of people just sitting there just nodding their head, yeah, do whatever. No, absolutely not. We need people like you to ask why.
Why?
All right. What do you / did you do for a living, and why did you choose that profession?
Well, right now my official title is I work for a company out of Arizona. The company's called One Source Solutions, and it's a transportation provider. I'm a third-party logistics person. My actual official title is Director of Special Services, but that's kind of morphed into when I moved here to Milton 6.5 years ago, because my wife, who passed away a year ago, she's from Milton, and so we moved back to Milton, and and it was pretty funny. I told them, well, I'm gonna have to quit here in about a month, and wait a minute, hold on a minute. So so I was working remote before quote unquote remote was popular, right? So I've been working remote for 6.5 years, right? And that's what I do, and I enjoy it. I'm a customer guy, and what I did is I morphed. I onboarded for the company. It was a small company. They went from $4 million when I went to work with like $4 million a year worth of revenue. They would do about $75 million this year.
Wow!
In 13 years that I've been with them, right? I personally myself do more than the whole company did when I first started. So in business, but so that's what I do. And my thing is service to customer, right? And that's my philosophy, and that's why I have customers. My customers have been with me for years, and they won't go anywhere else because I always do what I say I'm going to do,
right?
And just do the right thing, right?
Absolutely.
Always, and always communicate, tell them this and that, and why do I do what I do? I enjoy it. People say, when are you going to retire? I'm not going to. Why would I retire?
Yeah.
I like doing what I'm doing.
Yes.
It can be, it's very demanding, and but for me it's just second nature. I don't know if it's second nature, but I'm good at it, and so.
And you enjoy it.
And I have fun with it, and my customers love me to death. And how, man, Mike, I don't know what we do without you. I get that. I mean, I'm not trying to brag on myself, but I get it. I get it all the time.
Right.
They know they can call me, like this morning at 4:00 this morning. They needed something done, and okay, I got you. I'll take care of it, and I get it done, and they just, oh man, thanks.
You saved me again.
Yeah, well, because in the kind of business I'm in, I'm a transportation quote. I guess you could call it glorified transportation broker. But what I do is that my customers are construction companies.
Okay.
I move heavy equipment. I do all, if it's on a job site.
Okay.
I do. These guys are solar guys, right? So they have place all over the country, right?
Right.
And I understand the concept. If they need something moved from point A to point B, and it doesn't get there, it's cost them. I mean, guys standing around with nothing to do, and these construction guys, they don't make $10 an hour,
No.
right? They're making about $50 an hour or more, right? And it costs them a ton of money if something doesn't get where it has to get to, you
Yep.
know. And I get that, you know, and so that's why they.
That's why they need
use
you, and
me,
they
so.
dang sure don't want you going anywhere. Oh man, can you imagine you did go somewhere and the new guy coming in?
No, well, they told me that they told me I couldn't retire. No, you can't retire, Mike. I said, okay.
Oh man, as long as you're enjoying it, you're
Yeah,
having
it's
fun
fun.
with it. The heck with it,
Yeah.
man. Roll with it. Alrighty, Mike. How did this job help prepare you for the role in government you're seeking?
Well, what it is you know the citizens are a customer,
Right.
right? Customers pay the bills. So, and what I think what I bring to the table is from the business perspective, is that, you know, whatever you do, you know, you run a cost. I use the term cost benefit analysis, right?
Right.
When you know something's before the council and they say, okay, we need to allocate X amount of dollars for X amount of stuff, and I would say, well, what's the return?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What's the return for the citizens?
Right.
What do they want? And what I've found, and I've been going to council meetings, about 3.5, 4 years, right? Since I just went down on my own, didn't know anybody in Milton, right? My wife and her family, that's it, period. And so, you know, I went down there and I just go, and I shake my head and go, well, why don't they ask, like, people that live here what they think or what they need or what they want, right? And so, you know, something, you know, you have to, you know, I'm a big public safety guy. You know, you're going to have to support that police department. If they need squad cars, you get them squad. The fire department, you know, boom. Need a new garbage truck, hey. Well, that people benefit, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, they benefit by protection of the police and fire and getting the garbage picked up, right? You know, I mean, that kind of stuff, you know. So sometimes you have to spend money. You know, but where you don't see any kind of, but I don't like spending money where there's no, I don't perceive a benefit.
Spending,
yeah, you know, and it's just like, you know, and there's an issue going on now. I don't know if the other candidates have told you about. You know, right now there's $100,000 spend going on for zero return.
Yep.
I don't know. Okay, all right, but I'm just saying, and that's me. So,
Right.
you know, the citizens are a customer. And being a business guy, they're my customer.
Absolutely.
And I got to serve them and do it right and do it the right way.
I love that answer.
Yeah.
Love that answer. All right, Mike, what is your biggest career and life accomplishment?
The biggest career accomplishments. Well, you know, I've been, I'll just tell you, as a kid coming out of college, right, a gazillion years ago, of course. You know.
Right.
But, anyway, you know, and I'll tell you a story. The first company I ever worked for out of college, I graduated from Arizona State University.
Oh, good university.
Yeah, and my son, he's a, what do they call him, a legacy? He graduated from there too. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, a legacy or something. But anyway, back to that. So I come out, and you know the company hires me. I got hired under the corporate thing, right? And I was in Phoenix, and they said, well, we got a job, you know, frontline supervisor, you know, in the trucking business, right? And you know, we want to do that. We'll go through. Oh, yeah, I'll bring it on. Right?
Yeah.
You know, I'm just a kid, right? You know, young guy, and a little bit older than the average college graduate because I had to work to save the money to go to school. You know, I mean, I didn't have any.
It wasn't given to you.
No, I had to work to go to school, right? Even when I was in college, I worked.
Right.
I had to, but anyway, so my training was supposed to be a 6-month training program. My training program lasted 1 day, and quote unquote thrown to the wolves, right? And I started out, you know, doing. And it's funny is you're at that time I'm young, and all my employees, you know, were truck drivers and dock workers.
Yeah.
They're always my dad.
Right.
So you're supervising your dad.
Yep.
Right? And they go, who's this punk kid?
Right.
And, you know, but the way I learned the business, I learned it from them. I said, hey, I just told them, I said, hey, I don't know nothing about any of this kind of stuff. You guys are going to have to show me how to right way to load trailers and, you know,
Right.
you know. Wow.
You didn't come in and
he's
try
not a
to-
know-it-all kid, right?
Exactly.
So I come in and I learned, and then I was promoted to the manager position at, I think I was 26 when I got promoted. At the time, I think the youngest one in the 200 and some different locations.
Oh, wow.
And so that's what I did that, and then ran top 5% of profitability. I had Teamsters. Now I don't know if you guys I've been involved in a union environment at a young age, and so one thing I learned: follow the rules.
Right.
And that whole time I was in that business for 20 some years, I had never had a union grievance filed against me ever, because I followed the rules. And then if something I needed, and if I had to try to do something that kind of deviated from the contract, or like start time, I'd bring all the guys and I'd ask them, well,
Right.
are you guys okay if I do this, right? And I go this, and I tell them why, and they go, yeah, go ahead, it's okay.
Right.
We don't, go ahead, it makes sense,
Yeah.
And so, and that's how I did it,
You're
and
a complete team player.
I had to be,
Right.
otherwise you fail, right?
Right.
And then when I left, I left, and then they convinced me to come back after I was gone about a year and a half. But
We need this guy back.
but anyway, so that's it. So I've had a lot of responsibility at a young age,
Yeah.
and it's carried through to me now, and what I do now, and I go by faith. I live on faith, and it was, and then I had enough of the trucking business, right? So I'm doing something completely opposite. I'm sitting at the house there in Arizona, and all of a sudden, Pensacola, Florida pops into my mind, right? Pensacola, Florida.
Right.
I live out in the desert,
Yeah.
right? So it's the Lord, of course. That's who put that in me, right?
Yeah.
So I said, well, okay, I guess move to Pensacola. So we took a trip down. This was not Brenda, but this is my first wife, and we went down there, and we stayed at the beach and all that.
Yeah.
Hey, this is pretty nice. Hey, let's move here, right?
Right.
So I moved to Pensacola. I bought a house, no job, right? And people go, you bought a house and you don't have a job? Yeah, it's all faith. You live by
Right.
faith, right?
Right.
And and so then I started. I had a Avis rental car franchise there at University Mall, and I started. And I got into that. And I talking to the guy that was in charge of it. Deviating it's not really a franchise. It's like they call them owner operator type things. But anyway,
Yeah.
but it's your own business,
Right.
right? And he just looked at me and he goes, how soon can you start this? I said, this afternoon if you want to. I'm not working out at all, right? And the guy just looked, he smiled, he goes, well, give us a couple days. I says, okay. And so when they first started, and they had like a stipend, right?
Yeah.
A small stipend. Well, we're going to give you this until you get the business off the ground and all that. So just keep it.
I bet he was like, what?
He's like, what? I go, I'm not taking this on to work off a small little stipend and just kind of coast. I'm taking on a business, and I'm going to grow it,
Right.
and that's what I did. I was always above their draw, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
They did it for like 3 months. I said, I don't need that. They're like, what? And I go. They said, well, we'll have it anyway. I said, I'll never need it, right?
Yeah.
So, and then and then I built that, and how I built it was being straight with people, right? And I'd ask for business, right? And that's what I did. And in my business, it got to the point to where before I left it, I had to leave it because of the situation, because I was Avis. They merged with Budget, they merged the brands, and didn't increase the carpool. I couldn't get cars out of the airport anymore to rent. So I had like, and you guys are killing me,
Yeah.
So, but anyway. It is what it is, but people just come in and say, "Oh, go see Mike." They don't go see Avis, go see Mike, right?
Yeah.
And I had and it was all. He goes, he was never looked down to people. I just always just
A regular good guy.
I just rent him a car, and I was always fair on the price. I never tried to upsell or do and they say, "Well," I said, "No, you don't need that." I'll tell you a story. One lady comes in and she was. And she had rented for me a couple of times. She goes, well, I need to rent a car because I need to get tires on my car. I said, Well, you don't need to rent a car. You need to get tires. You can buy the tires for what it's going to cost you to rent the car.
Right.
Go see Benji, and she just goes. She just kind of looks at me. She goes, "You turned business away well,
It was the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do. It's always if you. I'm sorry, I like to talk.
No.
But if it's always about doing the right thing, no matter what it is. If you do the right thing, you never have to worry about. What did I tell this guy? What did I do this? It just makes life a lot easier.
You better believe it.
And so when I out there in the community and in businesses and stuff, if they treat me right, I'm going back and I'm going to tell everybody. But you know how it is, a lot of times some people will tell you about the good, but they always tell you about the bad experiences, right? As you're going through, this place, they got terrible food and or whatever, And I'll make my own judgment, and I'll see, but, so that's me in a nutshell.
And I'm the same way when it comes to that, especially for example, I'll see a movie review or something, and you'll see people just crap out of it. You're like, it ain't no good. I'm like, well, it looks, the cover looks good, so I want to give it a shot. I'll watch it. I'm like, what are these people talking about? I loved it. So I'm the same. I know what you're talking about. Right?
So I make my own judgments on a lot of things that I do.
Absolutely. So. Now I see why they ask you to run. Starting to all come together now. Alrighty. All right, Mike. What is your favorite thing about the city of Milton?
What I've learned is the friendliness of the people. You'll hear all the cliches and all that, but it's true, right? And I talk to people, and people here will say hello to you. How you doing?
Yep.
You're in the grocery store, and I'm good for that. I'll start a conversation about something. Oh, that looks pretty good. Walmart today, I had to get a prescription. And this lady's looking. I'll tell you real quick. She's looking at these watermelons, right? And they just put them out, and they had these ones that are real dark green. I go, wow, that looks pretty cool. Why don't you try one of those? And she goes, yeah, I think I will. But I mean, but people are friendly. But but you have to. Sometimes, be the friendly person first, or something, but living in a big city.
I was about to ask you, because you've lived in some bigger cities too.
I've lived in big cities. Yeah. I was telling you before the broadcast, I grew up in Chicago. Yeah. I lived in Phoenix a couple different times. I lived up in Portland, Oregon.
That was a trip.
I'll just leave that. But I had a neat house there. It was up on a hill overlooking the city. But just like the people were really weird. And I didn't stay too long. And as soon as the wife's college was, she went to college. And as soon as that was up, 2 days after she graduated, I already had the house sold. I said, we went back to Phoenix. But anyway,
we're out of here.
So it's different. And it's a slower pace. Which is like me, and after my wife had passed, of course the company, in Arizona, well, are you going to come? The reason I moved was because of her, right? And they go, are you coming back? No way. I'm staying. This is it, man. I'm done. I'm here. That's it. I got a neat house, and I just right downtown. I could walk to downtown, and I walk to the bands, backwater, and all that. I was I said, do you think I'm coming back to that crazy traffic and the crazy people? I said, no way, man. I'm here for the long run now. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the same thing I hear over and over and over again. People that come here on vacation and everything, you always hear that people are so friendly here. And like you said, it's not just you're not just saying it; it's true.
Yeah, I've experienced, because I've been on the other side.
Right.
Right, and I've been where you say hello to somebody and they just glare at you like
you're like, why are you talking to me?
Yeah, what's the matter with you?
We still have the old small town people going down the road waving at people. I love it.
Oh yeah,
Oh man,
I get people waving at me all the time out there and cutting the grass on the they'll beat the horn, wave back. Yeah. Police department, how you doing? They make fun of me, say I cut my grass too often, but that's okay.
You gotta worry about it growing too long, so you're good. Oh, so Mike, what do you do for fun?
What I do for fun is I work a lot, so, and because my job's pretty demanding, but for fun, I just like to go down like to the river walk and just kind of hang out,
Right.
and just kind of just sit back and like that. I spend a lot of time. Well, my son is here now. I brought him out here from Arizona here at the end of last year, and then now he's getting a house in Louisiana. So it was just kind of a stopgap. But anyway, I like to go out to eat.
Oh yeah.
I like going to restaurants. I was at Blackwater Bistro last night, for example, right? And that's where I was at last night. So I'm not a big chain guy. I'm not a fast food guy, right? So, so I like to go to. And that's one of the things we're going to do here in Milton. We're going to make it easier for people to come in and open up a business, right? Because people like that. The Blackwater Bistro, and we went early. We were there about probably a little after 5, and it went very good. And by the time we left,
Packed.
Boom.
Yep.
And just but like places like McKinley's. Down there. That's right at the corner down the house here. I just stopped there and said hello to those guys today. I didn't stop for lunch because I didn't have time. But just it's nice,
yes.
right? And just there's nothing wrong with the chain. There's nothing wrong. They serve a purpose, right?
Right.
But I think that people here really want some more. And I've talked to people. I was at Cisco's a few weeks ago. And I was just asking people, hey, what do you think? What do you think we need?
Right.
And they go. A couple of they're sitting in this restaurant. She goes, "Well, we need some more we need some more restaurants." I said, "Oh, okay." But just stuff like that, right? But see, I like to go out to eat, so that's me in a nutshell. That and.
Well, and like you said, the ones that we do have, they're great. But a little bit bigger variety is. I'm not going to knock that by no means.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the Blackwater Bistro and Cisco's, those are
just mom and pops, right?
And they're amazing. Oh my goodness! I tried something at Blackwater Bistro. I've never had it before, and they had it there. I'm like, what the heck is this? And I didn't think it was going to be any good because I never cared for that type of meal. But then I tried. I'm like, what have I been missing my whole life? It was something. The tuna. It was like
the IE tuna or whatever, the Creole tuna.
It was kind of like cooked like a steak. Like it was almost cooked like a steak.
Yeah.
But it was fish, and I was like, where?
Yeah, it's real thick.
Yeah. I'm like, what have I been missing?
I almost got that. I looked at that and I went, but you know what? So what do? I get what I always get. I get the mushroom cheeseburger.
One day you need to try this because I promise you, every time I go there now, I know what I'm getting. So
I'll have to try it next time.
Oh boy! Oh man! Okay. Yeah, man, that Blackwater Bistro is something.
Yeah,
else.
so that's what I like to do. Just kind of favor the local guys as much as I can, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Alrighty. We can diabetes water real quick. Alrighty. All right, guys. Part 2. Political questions, the meat and potato ones. All right. These questions. They're all yours. You know how I do it, guys. I get questions from the citizens, and we ask the folks running. So, you ready, Mike?
Shoot.
Alrighty. Why are you running now?
I'm running now because of. I had a lot of people ask me, and I was kind of torn about running. They go, "Well, Mike, you always are just like, you always care about what's going on, like what's happening to the people, right?" And when I'm up, I'm at these council meetings, and no offense, I mean, they are, they represent the city, but I don't feel they represent the city. I mean, the city, the people, right? I'm a people guy, right? So, and you ask questions, and one of the questions that come up are, the Highway 90 thing, right? So, and one of the councilmen, who's a pretty good man, and he goes, well, why don't we ask the people what they want? Like, put something in the water bill or something. At least get some feedback.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that tell me? Well, they don't want to know.
Right. Maybe
they don't want to hear. Maybe they don't. It's not going to give them the answer they want to hear, right? Or whatever it is. But that was my thing. So that's basically my thing, right? I'm a safety guy. I'm big on safety, and
Absolutely.
A lot of people are not. For example, I live on Berry Hill, right downtown, and I push for solar speed signs. I got those, I just pushed for the stop sign there at Berry Hill in Alabama. That was a mix. That took me a while after I seen the kid almost get run over about a month ago.
Yeah.
Trying to walk his dog, because the sidewalk ends at my house, right? So and this guy was flying by about 45, 50 miles an hour and didn't even think about stopping.
As they do all the time.
Yeah, and that's a problem throughout the whole city.
Mm-hmm.
So that's me. But one thing I've learned. And I tell this to all the citizens, if there's something, and when I'm talking to people, I've been out knocking on doors in the neighborhoods, right? And, I ask them, well, what's the biggest thing? You say, well, they don't seem to, I hear, well, they don't care. Whatever. I says, well, you need to come down to a city council meeting.
Yep.
And see what's going on with your city government. I'm trying to get people to get more enthused, because, and the one lady was telling me about this and this. I says, well, who did you ask? Well, I made a phone call. I said, now, you got to come down and just stand in front. Trust me, I was very nervous. I still am, right? So, and I just say, hey, this is the situation. And at the council meeting Tuesday night, I was walking on Alabama Street, right? And knocking on doors, and a couple people says, the speed in here is getting out of control again on Alabama Street there, right there by City Hall, right? So, I talked to Chief Tyndall, and he did a speed study for me. He showed it to me Tuesday night, and then next week on Thursday at the committee hall, we're going to put it up on the thing, and I'm going to get up and I'm going to say, hey, this, and this, and this, why don't we do, have we thought about this, and so just try to make it safer for the people, right?
Right.
And that, and whether I get anywhere or not, but it might take me 2 years, but I'll keep plugging.
Rolling.
Yeah, you just got to get started, and that's what I tell people. You just got to get involved, but I understand a lot of people don't want to get involved. So my goal is, tell me what you want.
Exactly.
You don't
want to do it.
Let me be. Well, that's your job as a council person.
Yep.
Right. You're supposed to be a voice for the people.
Yep.
And I'm not talking just Ward 1 because that's where I live. I'm talking all of Milton.
Right.
It's the whole city.
Yep.
Right. The council represents the whole city, right? And that's something, and I think sometimes they may forget, they think, I'm in Ward 4 or I'm in Ward 2 or Ward 3 and I should only be concerned about what's... No. You got to listen to everybody, right? So... and that's what I say, and people, it's like anything else. Well, I've heard it all before. I said, well, I'm not a politician, so I'm just a business guy, and and because I listen.
Yeah.
And then and like I say, when somebody asks you something, and you say, well, okay, sounds good. However, we may not be able to do that, but we might be able to do this. But one thing with me is that I'll always tell them straight.
Right.
I say, it's a good idea, but they're not going to go for it, and this is the reason why. If I can get a reason, right? I've been known to, I drive them a bit crazy, with the council, because I ask questions. Well, why are we doing this, or what? Are we sure we want to do this? Where's the benefit?
If they're worth their salt, I'm not knocking.
I'm not knocking anybody. They are.
If any politician should welcome questions. It's an opportunity to fix things, make things right, and make things better. So.
Yeah, and that's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to make it better.
Right.
Right, and like I say, I'm not tied to nothing.
Right.
Right. I don't have any. It's just me.
Yeah.
I live there. I don't have any obligations to anybody. I don't have to answer to anybody.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Mike, what is the biggest issue? I think I know where you're going to go with this in Milton, in your opinion, at this time. Why is it the biggest issue, and how are you going to fix it?
Well, right now the big issue on the table is the 4-lane. Right, we all know that. Well, maybe we all don't know that, but that's the biggest issue right now. The traffic, coming out of East Milton, and so you got to remember, it affects not only the city of Milton people, but it also affects people that travel through Milton.
Yep.
Right, so that's the biggest issue. The FDOT has they've made a decision, okay, and you can fight it all you want, and that's it, but The current council's solution to the issue is they want to spend another $100,000. I'm just going to tell you like it is. They're going to spend another $100,000 for a study that goes nowhere.
Right.
Take it out of the reserve fund, and they says, well, we got a lot of money in the reserve. Well, what's the reserve fund for?
Right.
If a hurricane comes through, $6 million is gone like that, right? So the purpose of the reserve fund is an emergency reserve fund, period. It's not for spending money to try to to make a worthless study to try to change the FDOT, and they're not going to do it.
It's already been decided.
It's been decided, right? And so the design phase actually starts next month with the FDOT. And so me as a private citizen, I've already reached out to them like last week. Hey, I'd like to know if I can be involved somehow as a private citizen on this and that. And I'm still waiting for, call, and I get kind of, you need to contact this person. So that's what I'm doing, right? And because they're going to allocate $28 million to the city.
Right.
I got a really neat plan about the downtown area.
Okay, we'll get to that here.
Yeah, so I'm going to unveil it Saturday afternoon at the fish fry.
All
so.
Right, awesome. Okay. Well, heck yeah then.
Okay.
I'll be there for that one. Alrighty, Mike. Alrighty, with all the growth all over Santa Rosa County, we are all experiencing a lot of new issues and concerns. What do you see will be Milton's biggest concern, and how do you fix it with all this growth coming in?
Well, what we have to do is, I'm going to piggyback off of Kerry Smith, roads before development.
Right.
Right? You got to make sure you have the infrastructure established before you start willy-nilly and putting in like the Jubilee situation, and even though it doesn't affect me personally,
right?
But it affects everybody. It will trickle down, right?
You better believe it.
So, I'm big. I think what we need to do, and like I say, we have to have the infrastructure established first, right? So, in order for us to grow through Milton, fight for Milton, Stewart Street needs to be fixed. Right. Now think about it. If you're coming into Milton and you've never been here before, right? First impressions are everything.
You better believe it.
Right? And they come in and they see, they'll come down, Caroline Street and all that, and empty buildings and it hasn't changed since I've been here. And what people are telling me, it ain't changed in 40 years.
Yeah.
Well, we got to change that. But the only way you're going to change it is you're going to have to attract the right kind of business that wants to take on, and you've got to make it much easier for these established small business. You got to give them some tax incentives. I hear to think, well, the permit for the city is $250 for this and that, and with the county it's $10. I'm like, well, that don't make any sense to me, But you got to make it friendly to them, because you don't realize, you got to think long term. Everything is short. I think there's a lot of short-sightedness, So, we'll get this extra $500 or $1,000 or $1,500 on the front end, and then people go, heck with it, But see, they don't understand that when you attract business brings in money, brings in tax revenue, and it will more than offset the concessions you made on the front end. And you don't have, what I'm saying? But that's business 101 to me, you've got to make it easy, I'm not saying hand the store away, but with it, it's got to be sensible, and
common sense.
Okay, what can we do as a city to bring people in, start fixing up Stewart Street, create that pride of ownership, right? And I am in my house. I try to be somewhat if I can, but like I say, the first impressions, right? When you come in, and and when I first come into Milton, and it's like, okay, because I lived in Pensacola. I lived, out there towards Cantonment when I first lived here. But anyway,
well, I'll tell you what.
But you got to just make it easy.
Yeah, and when you're talking about first impressions, when you talk to people who've never been here, when they're coming down here, and they come through Pensacola and they come through Milton, they go from like all excitement to, You know, that dreary, like, well,
Yeah.
it's just a little
It
old
looks,
town.
it
you know,
looks kind of run down a
little
little
pass
bit.
through
Yeah.
town, you know,
Yeah.
let me hurry up and get through here. And it shouldn't be that way.
But look what you got. You got the river.
Yeah, you got the
I mean-
history of Milton is amazing,
Yeah.
and people,
You know,
that's something to be proud about.
You got such an attraction with the river
Yes.
there and the river and all that. I says, can you imagine
That's
if
the
you just
lifeblood of Santa Rosa County right there.
and like I was telling people, I says, you know what I like to see? I'd like to see all these boats docked there.
Yes.
And all of them coming into town and spending money, having lunch, having dinner, whatever, you know, and it's actually kind of sad that it's not happening,
Yeah.
you know, but sometimes it takes people thinking outside the box. A lot of times, you know, somebody like myself I'm like the outside looking in, right?
Exactly, you're
and,
right.
And, you know, so I say, well, you know, it could be like this, because I'm thinking, you know, but,
No,
I'll get in-
trust me, I understand completely.
you know, so it's
Because
just,
the thing is, it's sad because Milton used to be a little boom town, you know, it was,
Yeah.
you know, mill town, you know.
Yeah.
Back in, you know, it was a long time ago, but still, it was the heart, and that
Yeah.
river is the lifeblood of this county. There's so much history in that
Oh,
city
yeah.
right there. It drives me insane, you know, because so many people don't know about it and know what the potential that city has right there. Anyway, we can go on for days about that.
I know,
agree
we're on the
with you
same
100% that
wavelength there, so.
It's a great opportunity if it's in the right hands. Let's just say that. All right. There are a lot of dangerous intersections in Milton, such as Dogwood and Hamilton Bridge Road, and Stewart and Magnolia. How do you make these intersections as safe as possible for the citizens?
Well, right now they're working on the lights at Stewart and Magnolia.
Okay.
That's in the works as we speak.
Okay.
They have actually acknowledged that, and so that's something that's in the process of moving forward. So, you know, I don't know, you know, and when I talked about, especially, you know, like I'll just relate to my street, you know, I tried to do, you know, they wouldn't do the speed tables or the speed bumps and all that, and I said, okay, I got it, so we'll do something else, but we could, I don't know if we could, at the Hamilton Bridge in Dogwood, I drive every day through there, because
Yeah.
I'm going to my offices, I just I go over to the mother-in-laws and water flowers for a while. But anyway, but I'm driving through all the time, you know, and you know, the thing is, I don't know if there's I don't know enough about traffic configuration or lights. I don't know if there's a better way to, you know, do the lights better, longer yellows, but people here run red lights.
You better believe it.
Okay, and it's just, I'm not used to that, you know, so I don't know. As I know at Glover at 90, they used to have the red
Almost
light
like
cameras.
a challenge for some folks.
Yeah, you know, and it's just like, you know, I wish I had, you know, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't really have the answer to it. You know, I've talked to, you know, I talk to the police chief a lot, not a lot, but fairly often, you know,
Yeah.
we talk, and that's what we talk about, traffic and speeding, and he goes, yeah, it's a problem, yeah, it's a problem, yeah, it's a problem, so, you know, so I don't know if they could do a different light sequence, you know, longer greens, or, you know, on Dogwood, you know,
Right.
to make it to where these people don't run that, because the light running is on Dogwood. It's not on Hamilton Bridge, right? Because Hamilton Bridge is just the cut through. But so I don't know if we can do that or do something with the turn signals, you know, make them longer, or whatever, you know, or just.
Well, you've
maybe
got
something like that. So
you've got a great group of folks that you can, if you get in there, you can meet with and talk with. The chief is one of them, you know.
oh yeah, you know, and
So-
and you know, and you know, people got to know, you know, the Chief Tyndall is a good guy.
You better believe it.
And he will talk to anybody
Yep.
about anything, and he's very approachable.
Yes.
And you know, and in his officers, you know, all of the half a dozen, 10 of them I've encountered just by around the house, and just, you know, bands at the Blackwater, whatever, you know,
Right.
they're there, and they're just all they're all good
reflections
people.
of him. They're
Exactly.
very approachable. They're nice. They're down to earth. They don't go off that. I'm prior law enforcement and corrections myself,
Yeah.
so I'm not knocking anybody. By no means, so y'all don't take it this way. You know, there's some departments out there that give off the vibe of don't talk to me, or they look down on you.
Yeah,
and all that.
like-
these guys are the
No,
total opposite of that.
no,
You know, they
no.
reflect Chief Tyndall. They're
Yeah.
a great guy. They're approachable. If you need assistance, these guys will break their
They-
neck to get there to help you.
And he'll tell you, he'll just tell you straight too. So, which is a good thing. So, but you know, as far as the light, you know, I'm sorry, I just can't tell you what. I don't have a solution for Hamilton and Bridge
I
and
respect
Dogwood.
that right
you know?
there. You didn't, you know, you're being honest.
Yeah.
That's admirable right there. But like I said, you have a great group of folks that you know you can meet with, and I'm sure you guys can come up
Yeah,
with
and
some
bounce,
kind of
bounce
solution.
stuff off each other. Say, hey,
Yeah,
well, what do you think if we
absolutely.
did this? Or, you know, hey, well, we'll try it. Just like my stop sign at the house at Berry Hill in Alabama. You know, it says, well, we did it for, you know, we're going to do it for 6 months and see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, and so, and
What's it hurt to try? You know.
yeah, and if it gets to be such a, you know, for me personally, on a personal level, it's good for me, and I know it's good for the people on Alabama Street trying to turn on the Berry Hill. Now they don't have to sit there and shoot out in front of somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, now it's a stop, and you know, and it makes it a little
This
bit
makes
more.
it a lot safer. That's for sure. I
Yeah,
went down there
exactly.
the other
And
day
that was
just-
the goal for me anyway. So.
Well, you hit that goal with that one. All right, Mike. One of the things that came up the last few years that seemed to cause some issues was the Black Lives Matter movement, and Milton, of course, had their share of items that it was faced with. Some of the items was the painting of roads with the slogan and the sign in downtown Milton. What was your opinion on all of this? If this comes up again while you're in office, how are you going to handle this?
Well, you know, first of all lives matter, right? And I don't think that all lives matter, right? And I'm willing, you know, I'll listen to people's concerns about this and that, but then a lot of times people jump on bandwagons sometimes, and they don't really know the bandwagon that they're jumping on, right? So a lot of times people don't have all the information,
You're right.
right? So, and my goal would be to disseminate information to the people saying, okay, well, I understand your concerns. However, can you give me an example or tell me a situation that you feel that you were not treated correctly or fairly?
Right.
And then we'll address it.
Right.
Right? So, you know, but, and you know how, you know, I don't know if you know how it is, but I grew up, you know, where in bigger cities, right? So there's a lot of people they're just, I call them professional agitators, right? And they thrive on creating chaos and then they step back, right? So the thing is just to treat everybody fairly. I'm not, you know, in my opinion, you have no business painting anything on any street.
Gotcha.
Period. It doesn't belong. It just doesn't belong.
Gotcha.
Okay, I'm not. I will never support that.
Right.
No matter what it is.
Right.
I'm just not going to do that. Because it's not right. Because it's not representative of everybody. Right. So as a government, you have to represent in the city. You have to represent all the people in the
Right.
city, not just. You can't sit there and just target a certain group of people because you think, well, I'll make brownie points, or you know, it's quote unquote politically correct.
Right.
I hate to tell everybody I'm not really politically correct. I'm just a correct guy,
All
right? If it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. It's a lot of times it's just that simple.
Yeah, you're
you know,
right.
you don't have
Very
to,
much right.
you know, and just say, well, okay, okay, well, how about if we do this instead? You know, well, maybe we'll put a bench up or something or whatever.
Yeah.
But you're not going to deface city property.
Right.
I'm not gonna tolerate it. And you know, in the big quote unquote liberal cities, you know, I mean, you know, they're all boarded up, you know, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But here, luckily, I think the people of Milton are pretty sensible.
Yeah.
You know, but like I say, they understand that we have to work together,
Yep.
and it's all for the common goal, right? And that's for the betterment of everybody.
You better believe it.
Not just a chosen few, right? So,
I like that answer. If constitutional carry or open carry is ever passed in Florida, would you be in favor of it, and would you mind it in the city of Milton?
you talking about alcohol?
No, Firearms.
Oh, firearms.
Yeah.
Um,
If constitutional carry or open carry is ever passed in Florida, would you be in favor of it? And would you mind it in the city?
I think the people have the right for self-protection, but like anything else, it can be abused as long as the background checks are done properly,
Right.
right? To make sure that somebody is not a convicted felon out there brandishing a firearm. You know, the issue I have that I'm not into gun control by any stretch of the imagination. Everybody, I believe in the Second Amendment full force, right? So you have the right to protect yourself. But like anything else, if it's not done properly, it can be abused, right? So I have to debate that a little bit, to be honest with you. I think that people have the right to bear arms and they have the right to protect themselves. If somebody's breaking into your house, they go out feet first, right? So, but as far as out in the public, you know, in Arizona, they had that in Tempe, in the city there, the college town there had that, and it posed some problems because you get knuckleheads, right?
Right.
You know, well, there's always that. You always get, or they're drinking and they get stupid.
You're right.
Right. So that's my concern.
I understand.
Is that I don't is making sure that I don't know how you can't control person's personal habits per se, but so I'm on the fence on that. I'm just going to be honest with you because I'm afraid of people being out there that don't.
I get it.
But like I say, if the background checks are done and everything's done properly, I'm not sure. I've never talked to Chief of Police about that. I don't know his opinion on that, but I'm going to find out there just to see what he thinks.
All right, awesome. I believe it was brought up because that's been one of the bigger pushes across the state right now to get something done, and so it was brought up because eventually it seems like it may happen, and so when it comes to be Anyway, moving on. We hit on this. You spoke on it a little bit earlier, but I want to read the question. If you want to add to it or whatever, you can. If not, we'll move on. But one of the biggest concerns lately has been the bridge coming into Milton from East Milton. There's been a few different options provided to solve it. If you could make the final call on what to do, what resolution would you choose, and most of all, why? Out of all those options that they've proposed, if you could pick one and say, this one right here, which one would you say I'm going to roll with?
4-lane down through downtown, period. Okay. That's it.
Gotcha.
The alternatives were destroying historic neighborhoods. And where they were trying to start it was I heard Indian burial grounds or some kind of something to that effect. I don't know for a fact. That's you hear stuff, but the 4-lane. But I got a plan for the 4-lane.
We're going to hear about it Saturday, right?
You're going to hear about it Saturday.
All righty.
3 to 7 p.m. I'm going to promote. Is that okay?
Go for it.
3 p.m. 3 to 7 p.m. corner of 90 and Elmira there, right by the Imogene. We're gonna have a fish fry, and I'll be there because I've got my vision for what we can do with downtown Milton.
Okay.
Right, and it'll be. You hear a lot of people, and I always ask, well, what's your vision?
Yeah.
We just don't want it. We just don't want it. Okay. Well, that's not a vision.
Yeah.
That's an opinion.
Yeah.
So I invite everybody to come out, and I'll have it set up. And I have some artwork done and all that.
We'll answer that question. We'll ask him Saturday. I'll go up to him with the camera.
There you go.
And I'll let him answer that question Saturday.
There you go.
Okay, that's what we'll do then.
All right.
All righty. No, I like that. That's good.
I'm sorry.
No. That's perfect. Because what's funny is look at the next question, and I'm going to edit this part out. What we're talking, what I'm about to say.
Yeah. Okay.
Another big issue that is tied to the bridge is the possibility of 4-laning downtown. Where do you stand on this and why? So that's talk about a perfect thing, yeah. So we'll get that answered this Saturday, guys. Yes. All righty, moving on. With a new courthouse now built and the old one will now be empty, what, if anything, would you like to be done with that area and why? We're going to tie that into your vision, right? All right, so we'll leave that one. Don't answer it. We're gonna hold you
Yeah,
off on that one, guys. We're gonna, like I said, those two questions right there. We'll come back and I'll insert it in and we'll get you those questions answered because I don't want to ruin his vision or anything like that. Looking forward to seeing that. So we're just gonna keep on moving on down the line. Alrighty. There are some bars and restaurants in Milton, especially near the river, that would like for patrons to be able to carry their drinks from location to location and to walk out down by the river with them. Where do you stand on the issue of bringing your drink from locale to locale, and why do you have this? What do you want to say to the restaurants or bars that want this and to those that don't want this?
Well, I understand the position of the people, of the bar owners that want it.
Mm-hmm.
It's called profit, right? That drives everything, right? It's,
Right.
You know, concern I have, public drunkenness. And, you know, I've heard the term that, well, you know, at the bands at the Blackwater, you know, they allow open alcohol, you know, and people can bring coolers and sit there. I says, but it's a controlled environment.
Right.
With police presence.
Right.
So right, but 2 o'clock in the morning, this is what'll happen because I've seen it I lived in a college town, right? So.
Oh yeah, you got a first-hand experience.
Yeah, you know, so you see, you know, and you know, walking down the street drinking, tossing the beer cans, whatever, you know, getting drunk, getting stupid,
Yep.
you know, and for me, in my personal opinion, I'm just going to tell you like it is. I'm just telling everybody like it is. I think it's a recipe for disaster.
Gotcha.
That's just my opinion. And I understand where the bar owners are coming from.
Right.
I mean, I understand what they're thinking. Well, it's not a big deal. But you understand, and of course I've heard the argument at the bands. I says, well, it's a controlled environment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they go, well, people can go down the river, walk and go sit down there by the river and bring a little cooler, sit there and have a beer or whatever. And I says, well, yeah, and I guess they can do that, you know. So, but what my concern is that after hours, right? So, okay, the place closes at midnight, whatever time it is,
Kids
whatever.
want to still keep partying.
I mean, since they still want to keep partying, right?
Yep.
And then they take it to the neighborhoods,
Yep.
right? And that's and the people, you know, I can see it. It can cause for me personally. I think it's like I said, it can be a recipe for disaster because you can't control it.
Right.
Like I said, there's no, you think you're going to have police on every corner watching at the end of when the bars close or whatever,
Right.
standing out there and, and so, and then they say, well, you can't purchase any alcohol half hour before closing or something, if they restrict, who knows what they
really
will
going
do.
to stop them?
It's not going to stop them, right? So,
man.
and because what'll happen is, okay, we'll open, okay, so bar, well, they go out to their car,
Mm-hmm.
open up their trunk.
They got to fit the whiskey.
Yeah,
bought that
and they
morning
pop it
or
out.
that
They
afternoon.
walking down the street
Yeah.
drinking, right? And it's just, I think it's a public safety risk. My opinion, because you think about what could happen. All of a sudden they get in a car. I mean, they can get a car drunk anyway, even coming out of the bar. But
Right.
but if you
You just
control
gotta-
long it, well, this is what happens. Okay, I come out of the bar, or the restaurant or whatever it is. I got brand new bottle of beer, can of beer, whatever. I go get in my car and start driving.
DUI.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just saying. What's to prevent that? And then people, the other, you have to. I look at both sides of the argument. Well, they could have it in their car and open it up anyway. I says, well, yeah, but why?
Why are you going to add to the possibility? Of it?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I understand. I see
That's-
exactly what you're
that's-
talking about.
that's me.
I get it.
So-
I completely understand that. With the recent COVID-19 stuff, where did you stand on all the issues? And if you could have, would you have done anything differently with the way the city handled
Well,
COVID?
the big thing is, you've heard the mask mandate. Unfortunately, you have to remember at that time, the city's position, the position that was taken, it was kind of a no choice because the president of the United States says you need to do this. The governor says you need to do this.
Right.
Especially with your first responders with the mask stuff.
Right.
This is what you got to do.
Right.
So, okay, that's what It's not my call,
Right.
Decision was brought down to me from up above above your pay grade level or whatever you want to call it, right? And then once the governor said, hey, we don't need it, and then it got yanked, right? So I think that overall, like anything else, when something like that, a lot of unnecessary panic kind of set in a lot of places, and even to this day, I mean, out there in California, oh my gosh, it's crazy, and then the kids, and can't go to school, and trying to force vaccinations on 6-month-old babies, and all that stuff, and that's just not, that my position was, you should be able to make your own decision based on your own personal feelings and about your health, right? And if you want to get the vaccination, have at it. Right. You should never be forced into it. Right. And you should not. It's because that's against the will of the people, right? Yeah. You don't force something on somebody without having all the facts, right? That's the vaccines and all that stuff come on real quick without not a whole lot of studies and everything, right? And I get it, and I understand what this and it, and then you find out people have been vaccinated 2 or 3 times, and they've had COVID 2 or 3 times, so that kind of tells you something there. But always on, at the time you had to err on the side of caution, right? Because that's what they were told. That's what the city was told to do. Right. So they were just following the directive of the state and actually of the U.S. government. I mean, that's the way I looked at it. So,
and I just interviewed Miss Lindsay, Heather Lindsay, the mayor.
Oh, okay.
And that was one of the questions that was asked to her, and she did a great job explaining why they did everything they did, and it opened my eyes up to some of the reasons. So I understand. I get it. I totally understand it now. But sadly there were some things that, I remember when all that was going on, some things that were said, people attacking her and Milton and all kind of things for, being this way or that way. The main thing is we've got to realize that you got to be wary of what you say. I understand a lot of people have a lot of emotion attached to decisions one way or the other. But still, there's no reason to go out and try to destroy somebody just because of them trying to do what they think is best.
Yeah,
and sadly we saw some of that.
And at the time, that was the best decision that she would make because she was worried about the first responders, right?
Exactly. And
that was her main concern, and she was just following the edict of everybody else, right?
Right. So. Right. We the people is a term of ownership. What does it mean to you, and how then will you apply that in your role as a council member?
Work for the people. I mean, that's it. It's all about accountability, right? I'm an accountability guy. When I had employees, I held them accountable, right? And owners of the companies I work for held me accountable.
Right.
And I would expect nothing less from the people of Milton.
Absolutely.
To hold me accountable.
Absolutely.
And that's what it's all about, right? Accountable. You're paying me. Your tax dollars is paying my salary, and I'm making decisions spending your money.
Yep.
And if I'm not accountable to you on how I spend your money, you don't belong sitting up there.
Right.
And whether it's a city council or wherever it may be in government, right?
Amen.
And like I say, you have to be, and you have to listen.
Yes.
Right? You got to listen to what everybody tells you, or what they, and that's what I tell people: ask,
yes,
ask, just ask, and give your opinion. And then when you render decisions, and like I say, you're not always you can't please everybody.
No.
You never will.
No.
But as long as you have an explanation of why you're doing something,
right,
or the reason behind it,
mm-hmm.
And it's just like this spend now they're doing. I says, well, where's the benefit?
Right.
What are we? And it's can't.
Right.
Because there is none.
Right.
Right. But whatever. No matter what it is, whether it's that or I want to do whatever. Whatever it is. Well, we want to buy, playground equipment. Okay, fine. Are we getting the biggest bang for the buck? One thing I have to learn more about is that when I get involved, when I do get elected, because I will get elected.
Right.
I'm pretty. I don't mean to be arrogant, but I think I think I can be elected. The bid process stuff, and it's like, does anybody negotiate with the vendor? Vendor comes in and says, okay, it's $50,000. It's my bid. You're the lowest bidder at $50,000. Okay, whatever they get 3 bids. Or a lot of times the city now, they'll put out bids and you only get 1 return. Mm-hmm. And I don't know enough about the bid process, and I'll have to get educated in that. And I know some people and they reject it or whatever. But do we ever go back to the vendor or whoever it is saying, no. You got some room here. Right? See, I do that for a living, so it's easy for me because I negotiate. I'm a negotiator because that's what I have to do to make to make profit and do the best for my customer, right?
Absolutely.
So I now that's something I need to look at, but that's one of the things that I've asked some people and I get I don't know, like, well, who knows?
Yeah.
Well, we should know, right? Or whatever. I might be going out on a tangent saying, well, no, because of the bid process, the bid is what it is, and it can't be changed, and it can't be. Well,
what's it hurt to ask, though?
Well, what's the worst they can do?
Exactly.
Say no.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the way I look at it. But and anything, it's like I tell people, I said, well, this and that. I talked to them about this and that, and I says, well, what'd they say? Well, I didn't ask. Well, I only made a phone call. Okay. Well, ask them why.
Yes. If you don't ask, you never know.
You never know, right?
Yeah.
So.
Do you agree with the end justifies the means in the decision-making process?
Well, the only thing I can say about that is the end justifies the means if we did the right means on the front end. Are we doing our homework? Are we asking all the right questions, right? If the end result is, if it's to the benefit of the city, then usually the end justifies the means. But if it works for the city and it works for everybody, my question is are we asking all the right questions? Are we sure we're exploring all the alternatives before we try to, to get to that end? Are we doing our due diligence? I guess it's the term to use, right? So, if we've done all our due diligence, we ask the experts. One thing about me, if I don't know something, I'm going to find out, and I'm going to ask somebody that knows it, right? I mean, not my opinion. I says, well, if I talk to 3 different people in this field, and they're all telling me the same thing, I'm sitting there going, well, they do it for a living. They must know what they're doing, right? I mean, I say that to myself. So I just need to make sure that we're just exploring all the opportunities. Absolutely. And getting all the answers that we need to get before we, come to that end, right? Amen. So, did we spend too much money on this or do this? And, hindsight is 20/20, as they say, or Monday morning quarterback. Yeah. So I'm going to try not to be a Monday morning quarterback. I want to make sure we have it all on the front end, right? So, and just to make sure we've explored all the opportunities, and and people, in my work world, you can be a real, pain, I says, but there's a reason, right? Because it's all about doing the right thing, right? So,
absolutely, you are absolutely correct on that. Now, with this next question, if a citizen of Milton is interested in you as a candidate, how can they get to know you better? And he's got these wonderful palm cards right here, and on these palm cards, guys, it says everything he's for and what he's about. And he's got down here at the bottom. He's got a message from himself, and then on the back side of it, down here at the bottom, we're going to put it up on the screen for you guys, but it's got his phone number right there. It is 850-206-4612. And his email is Mike, Cusack. I know I'm going to mess it up.
No,
every
no, you're
time.
good. You got it.
Mike Cusack for Milton at gmail.com. And of course, guys, like I said, I'm going to put all of this up on the screen so you don't have to replay. You can sit there and read it and write it down. And I'm sure if they have any questions or concerns that you don't have a problem answering, they call you. So you've been
Oh
straight
no,
up.
I've had people calling me already. That's,
good,
because I've
good.
been passing out my stuff, right?
Awesome.
So
That shows that they're involved.
and you know
They
what?
care.
And I'll talk to them.
Yes,
And I've
absolutely.
asked people, hey, what do you think about this? And I said, okay, well, let me find out. Especially the safety thing, right, with the speed and all that.
Yeah.
And so I got people in Alabama they ask me, hey, two people. If two people ask me the same thing, it's a problem, right?
There
And
you
I
go.
see it too. So
Yeah.
what do? I went and said, hey, what can we do? I need some information so I
Right.
can, and I'll get back to these two people and say, hey,
Absolutely.
this is what they found, and this is what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
What do you think? Because they kind of, both of them kind of told me kind of the same thing, right? And I said, I may shock them when I go back and talk to them, but once I have some information, I'll
Right.
let them know, right?
Absolutely.
And if it might not be what they want to hear, they may not do what they want to do, but at least
You did your part.
I did what I could to try to see if we can
Exactly.
fix it, right?
Exactly. And see, and that's why, so if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, give them a call.
So, yeah,
Shoot them an email.
and I don't care where you live in Milton.
Right.
I mean,
That's
you
what he was
call
talking
me.
about earlier.
I mean,
Yep. Milton's Milton.
Milton's Milton. It's not just down. Milton is more than downtown.
Oh, yeah.
Downtown is important, but there's a lot of concerns
Yep.
out there in the city. I talked to people about in Ashton Woods about they're trying to, the drainage and stuff like that next to
Yep.
the holding pond and all that. And it's a mess, and a lot of times, and that's the thing about these new developments that are going in, not just but it'll all affect the Milton because of the traffic and the increase in population. But do your infrastructure first.
Yes, you can.
That's my opinion.
My
there,
thing
so.
is you can't put the roof on without a foundation.
Exactly. Yeah.
You gotta have that foundation before you do anything else.
I run businesses, right? And the motto has always been, and I learned this early on, it's called dirt foot. And people go, what's dirt foot? Do it right the first time. Because there's always time and money to do it over.
There you go.
Right?
Right.
So sometimes people say, well, if you spend it, sounds kind of expensive on the front end. But if it eliminates anything from happening in the future, down the road, it's money well spent.
Right.
It's about doing it the right
Yeah.
time. Sometimes doing it the first time, doing it right the first time may not be the cheapest, but in the long run, so you got to look. You gotta get away from the short-sightedness,
Yep.
right? You got to look long term.
Yep.
Right. Okay. If we do this, what's it? If we don't do this, what's going to happen? I see a lot of don't do nothing is an answer, and and doing nothing is not
That's not
is
an
not
answer.
is not an answer.
No.
Changes happen. Sorry, people. And I'm not exactly the youngest kid on the block here. So. And if people like me, sometimes they're hard. It's hard to change, right? But sometimes change is good because no matter what, change is going to happen.
Yep.
So what you need to do is you get in front of it, and making sure you're putting your best foot forward
Right.
and being ahead of the curve, right?
Absolutely.
And no matter what it is, even in life, where politics aside, or even whatever you're doing, right?
You're absolutely correct.
Do it right on the first
I
time.
love that. What's it called? Dirt foot?
Dirt foot.
Dirt foot. Okay.
Do it right the first time. Now, see,
I remember
I
that.
learned that. I don't want to date myself, but it was 40-some years ago when I first I learned
you're
that
good.
term, and it just makes sense.
Yeah. I
'Cause,
gotta remember that right
Yeah,
there.
because
Same.
always time and money to do it over.
Yeah, and it's true. That's exactly true. We have way too much of that right now going on. Everybody's worried about the short term, not focusing on the long term right there. And if we could flip that, we'd be in a lot better situation.
Yes, we
that's
would.
For sure. All right, Mike. Last question, buddy. Why should the great citizens of Milton choose you over your opponent?
I'm not, I'm me. My opponent is my opponent. I'm not going to talk about my opponent. No, I'm here about me, right?
Right.
And so what I will do is I will always tell you straight. And like I said before, sometimes
You've seen it today, first.
yeah, sometimes you may not like the answer, but I'll tell you the reasoning behind it, and I'll explain. If somebody asks me to explain something, and I do it, see, that's easy for me because I do it for a living.
Right.
Right? So I have to explain all the time of why this, and this is happening, right? And the reason for it, or whatever, and something's going sideways, and, you try to fix it,
Yeah.
You try to prevent it from going sideways on the front end, but I'll always tell you straight, I'll always listen to you, and I'm not just blowing smoke here. I'm a guy that has been a very successful business owner, I'm a very successful business person. And it's all because I listen. And when people ask me something, I'll say, oh, well, I'll get back to you later and never get back to you.
Yep.
Right? I'll always say, if I tell somebody, I'm a person, I try to be as best as I can. I'm far from perfect. I'm a person of my word. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it.
Right.
Right? If I'm not going to do it, then I'll tell you I'm not going to do it, or I'll tell you the reason why. I just won't dismiss you.
Right.
And a lot of that goes on right now.
Yes, it does.
They just dismiss it.
Yep.
Say, how dare you ask me this question? And it's like, really?
Yeah.
Really? Don't you have your job? See, sometimes people get so caught up in their own personal ego,
Yep.
I guess is what it is.
Yep.
Trust me, people, no ego here with this guy, right? And it's not about me, right? And like I said, when I was asked to run, and they says, well, you're just like a regular guy. You're not a politician.
Exactly.
You're not. Trust me, polished. I'm not. Pretty boy. not even close,
We're
right?
in the same boat there,
But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I'll listen to people, and and it's called compassion. And right, if there's somebody up there and they're passionate about something, they deserve your attention.
Yes.
And I've seen people up there at council meetings over the last 3-4 years, whatever, and people and they're speaking with passion, and I see
Off in another world.
and I'm sitting there going, how disrespectful is
Yeah.
that, right? So you have to respect people. You don't have to agree with them, but you have to respect
Absolutely.
them. And you know what? You can agree to disagree,
Yeah.
but you can do it respectfully,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And just be a person.
Yeah.
I mean, just like I say, I'm just
Have a heart.
have a heart. Well, over the years, Seal said I was kind of heartless, but because I was kind of a dictator in the work thing sometimes. But
That's a little bit different.
a little different than this. But but like I say, when people tell me they ask me a question, I'll just tell them.
Right. I've always said that your actions show the man. The actions show you who you really are, and your actions have showed who you are. You had an issue with the speed and everything. You went and talked to some citizens and everything, and you did something about it right there. So
And I'm not even on the council or nothing.
Exactly.
I'm just a guy,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But I knew the avenues to where to go.
Right.
And that's what I'm telling people. People, please get involved with your city and your government,
Yes.
because you're not everybody in the city's against. They're not all against you. You know what I'm saying? But if we get a common sense council on board that actually will do the people's will,
right.
and just make sound fiscal decisions. I'm cheap, okay, when it comes to spending money, but as long as there's a return,
Right.
right? You got to have the return.
Right.
It's like I said earlier in our broadcast, here about the cost benefit analysis. That's what I do I do it all day long, right?
Right.
So it's easy for me, and I just look, well, okay, if we're going to do this, this, and this, what are we going to get out of this, this, and this?
Yeah.
Are we getting the quote is biggest bang for your buck?
Right.
With these vendors, are we sure? Have we done our homework? And I'll question city people. The city. Have we done our homework here?
Yeah.
Who you talk to?
Right.
I've asked questions of city council people, and they go, well, a lot of people, and I just go,
Okay. And
who? I go, and it doesn't make sense. Who?
Yeah, exactly.
Who'd you talk to?
Yeah.
Who? And well, a lot of people. I go, okay, so in other words,
Probably nobody.
whether they did or not, I don't know. But what I'm saying is, well, if you talk to somebody and, like me, they asked me, and I said, well, when I talked to, the guy that lives on the corner there, Alabama Church Street, and the neighbor next door, that's who I talked to.
Yeah, exactly. Here's my sources right here.
Yeah, I mean, if you whatever. So,
that goes back to your part where you said you'll explain why and how. So actions yet again. So there you go.
Yeah, I guess I'm not an action guy. I don't know. But
Well,
anyway,
the thing is you like you said,
it's common sense.
yes,
though, right?
Yes.
It doesn't
Amen.
have to be this hard.
No.
We don't have to make things so hard for people and for businesses to thrive.
Thank you.
And I heard somebody made a comment to me about the, you can edit this out or whatever, but the guy opened up the Planet Fitness at the old Fred's.
Oh, yep.
A certain person told me that he knows the guy that's doing that thing, right? And he says, if I knew then what I know now of dealing with this city, I'd be in Pace or Pea Ridge. So what does that tell you? And so then you have to sit there, okay, why?
Yep.
Why are we, why? What is the if there's no sound reason for what you're doing, then you shouldn't be doing it, right? So if there's, I don't know, I guess that's that business mind to mind.
And that's perfectly fine. We gotta have that right there because not everybody has that mentality right there. So you need a mixture of everything up there.
Exactly. But like I say, I'm just.
And you have the business mentality, but you're also a regular guy at the same time. So you got two great things going for you right there.
Yeah. Well,
anyway, Mike, it has been an honor and a privilege to sit
thank
down
you
and
so
talk
much
with
for
you.
letting me do this.
Hey,
this is
man,
pretty
I
cool for
enjoyed
me.
it. We had a blast, man.
Now, just I've never done. It's a new one for me. I never did any kind of, anything like this before.
You did great, man. You really did. You answered all the questions. You were open, honest, upfront, and that's all I asked for.
Yeah,
right
and
there.
I gotta tell people, just if you got a question, ask me,
Right.
and I'll do my best to get back to you, and it's all I can do. I may not have all the answers, but I might be able to steer you to somebody that may be able to provide you the answers you need.
Right. Absolutely.
And this I had a situation down there on they back up to a business, right? Their house, and I'm not going to go into the details because I don't want to reveal who they are.
Yeah, I got you.
And they told me, well, this, and this, and I says, well, have you gone to? Well, I talked to the manager. I says, and it's a corporate thing. I said, have you gone to that level?
Right.
Well, I don't know. I says,
Climb the chain.
but I says, but you have to, say, well, and what thing is, I'm a safety guy, so I always push the safety angle. What your situation's unsafe, right? And then, so what you have to do is you ask, well, so you don't believe in having safe neighborhoods or whatever you have to do. I mean, you don't have to be like sneaky about it, but you just say, hey, if this was you,
Right.
what would you want?
Exactly.
Right? And so sometimes you can open up some eyes, right?
Absolutely.
But you can't be afraid. Now I know people. I've heard when I first moved here. I heard well, it's Milton. That's just the way it is. And I say, well, that's Milton, but it doesn't have to be the way it is. It doesn't have to be that way.
You're right.
It can be. It can be a vibrant small town. I said, can you imagine? I mean, the river is such an amazing thing.
Yes.
I mean, the history of the river, and this Milton as a city is not taking advantage of that.
There you go.
For the benefit of everybody.
It blows my mind.
It does. It just amazes me.
Yep.
It just amazes me. And and
there's so much potential, so much opportunity there. And and everybody wants to always say, well, you can't do that because of all the historic. Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
You can. All that can marry together perfectly fine. It's just you can't be scared to take the chance.
Yeah.
You can't be scared to take the risk,
It-
you know. But don't let that place die. You know,
Yeah.
and that's sadly around people that's been here for as long as I have. You know, and
Yeah.
I'm knocking anybody that's recently moved here, but they'll all say the same thing. When we were little, Milton was, you know, the vibrant city and all that. And Pace was the little, you know,
The
out
nothing.
in the woods.
Yeah.
And now it's the script.
It's completely flipped.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now I understand about the owner of Planet Fitness, because everybody's like, well, Milton's dying. You know, and Pace and Pea Ridge is blowing up.
Blowing up. Yeah.
So don't let it die is all I ask.
Yeah.
You know?
And like I say, you can bring it back. You know,
Yes.
will it happen overnight? No.
No.
But you can, if you start to show that you're taking the steps to do it right, and all of a sudden people, you know, there's a lot of people with a lot of money that want to
Yep.
create things, right?
Yep.
And if they say, hey, it looks like maybe we got to look at this now.
Yeah.
Right? That we just totally dismissed it before, no matter what it is. You know, little cafes and, you know, this and that. You can make the 4-lane will actually, you'll see Saturday.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So don't want to get into that. Anyway, guys, we're gonna get out of here. Mike, it is, like I said, once again, buddy, it's been an honor. I can talk with you all night, man.
Yeah, my problem is I talk too much.
Hey, you're good. You're good. Because I know if we keep talking, we're going to.
We'll be here till midnight.
Yeah, we'll be here at midnight. We'll be done to expose your views and everything about the thing. We don't want to do that. But anyways, guys, we're gonna get with him this Saturday, and we're gonna find out his big secret, his big surprise. But anyways, guys, I'm Tommy Nichols, Blue Collar Voice with Mike Cusack, and if you want to get a hold of him, guys, I will put all his information up there. Give him a call. Reach out to him.
Absolutely.
And I promise you, he will answer. Or if he don't, he will call you back. Yeah, I'll give you my word on that.
Yep.
All right, guys. I'm Tommy Nichols, Blue Collar Voice. Toodles.
Thanks.